And boom goes the dynamite.
'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I'll get my ping pong. This is getting heavy, can't hear the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beach chain like money. This go all alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I glow up. Hey, so let's go. 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. So I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, bring a
Good evening, and welcome to episode 88 of Boom Goes the Dynamite, the AEW Dynamite review show here on the PWOM Podcast Network. I'm Jeffrey. With me tonight is a special guest because Paul Sebastian is on the road tonight. So with us we have someone who hasn't been on in about 18 months. Please welcome from LuchaBlog.com, the Cubs fan. Cubs, how are you, man?
Good. Glad to be back on.
It's been a while.
Yeah, you've been doing well without me, so I'm glad I can pitch in and help here.
And we didn't even get a Fantastica Mania this year in New Japan, so you couldn't have done that episode with me either because that didn't happen.
No, it's been a while since I've had a chance to be on, so it's cool to be back.
Well, thanks a lot for coming by. Ironically, it's a good thing you are here because, of course, over the weekend we had AAA's Triple Mania show, which has some very AEW relevant stuff going on. I know you and Rob Viper talked at length about this immediately following Triple Mania. I just want to, for those who may not have listened to it, let's talk about the two specifically AEW-centric matches. What did you think of Kenny Omega versus Andrade El Idolo for the AAA Mega Campeonato?
I thought it was good, but when this match was originally announced, I thought this was going to be a great Andrade as one of the best workers in the world kind of match, and it ended up being just like a pretty good match. So, like, if you had that expectation that was going to be just a match of your candidate, I think you were probably let down a little bit. But given where Andrade's looked on AEW TV and elsewhere, I was just happy to get a good match out of him at this point.
Yeah, because I remember you did hit me to the match in Atlanta between Andrade and Laredo Kid, and that was not great.
No. That was a night off for a guy who probably should not be taking nights off. Because he had plenty of nights off when he was back in catering in WWE. So
right.
We're kind of hoping for something better. But I think at this point we got to hope that he's still just kind of working the WWE mindset out of the system. And with more chances, he'll get better. And, he did get better from last time I saw him. So I'll give him that. Yeah,
there is a common thing that comes up on this program is Paul likes to bring up the WWE-ification of wrestling, and usually with regard to how we as fans perceive it and how stories should go. But I think it's something worth discussing sometime about the WWE-ification of actual wrestlers and how they put on matches and such.
Yeah, I think he's still performing to please WWE agents, and and those people don't exist in the AAA world. Barely any structure at all exists in the AAA world. So I think he's just got to. Hopefully, he's listening to people after these matches and taking good feedback and building from there. I'm not confident of that, but I'm just trying to be hopeful at this point.
Right, I gotcha. Otherwise, I didn't think it was a bad match. I mean, it certainly was a spectacle that Triple Mania is known for, especially since Ric Flair was there in Andrade's corner. So
yeah, and that moment with Rick and Andrade chopping Omega back and forth, I think was probably the most seen moment of the whole show. I think that was. I think it really surprised the Mexican fans to see Ric Flair, and it really caught on internationally that Ric Flair was in the ring and doing stuff again.
Right. Yeah. I mean that was the viral moment from that match. So. So yeah, but also we had the three-way match for the AAA tag team titles, or so the Campeonato de Parejas, and of course the Lucha Brothers retained against Laredo Kid and Hijo del Vikingo, as well as Black Taurus and a mystery partner who turned out to be Brian Cage.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really good action match. It shows some of the flaws of the AAA production style because they switch cameras so much, and when the guy's moving around so much, it was tough to keep up with at times. But I thought, you got all the big spots and the action you expected. Everyone got their moment, and like I was sad to see Vikingo get pinned, but I don't think he was hurt by losing the Lucha Brothers. The Lucha Brothers were still one of the more popular people on that show.
I am a little surprised actually that they kept it with the Lucha Brothers.
I think they just want a reason to have an easy way to book the Lucha Brothers on every big show. And as long as they have the tag team titles, they can always find 2 or 3 or 4 teams to face them. So I think they're just going to, I think they're just happy with the status quo right there.
Right, and I do agree with you. I think that it was a little shocking that they had Vikingo take the pin, especially since Kenny Omega and Hijo del Vikingo keep going back and forth with each other on Twitter, trying to make a match happen. So yeah, I mean, is there any chance of that AAA Mega Campeonato match happening between the two coming up?
I think there's still a decent chance, despite the way he was booked there. I mean, AAA hasn't announced it yet, but they're probably going to have a big show sometime in December in Monterey, where that would be Omega's next event. And I think it's probably going to be either Vikingo or Psycho Clown in that spot. So I think when it was originally planned, I think Psycho Clown was going to be in that spot, and it's possible he still may. But I think there's also like a lot of interest in putting Vikingo there. It may even come down to if AAA can be shown internationally legally by December, which I think is a long shot. But like if they could do that, you might as well put Vikingo in that spot because that's going to get more international attention. But I think it's more likely to be Psycho, but I'm not sure. I think we've got 4 months for that to go back and forth for a few times.
Right, and of course, since Brian Cage was here, he also reprised his role as Terror Purpura, the Thanos-based wrestler for the Marvel matches. That came up. So yeah, I just want to point out I absolutely lost my goddamn mind when El Furioso, the Hulk wrestler, showed up.
Yeah, blasting through that wall and just hulking out. That was a very well done visual.
My son was actually watching with me briefly because he doesn't give a shit about pro wrestling, but he happened to be down. He happened to be where I was, and we were talking because during the Marvel match, which by the way, Vikingo as the Spider-Man wrestler Arachno, hanging upside down on a zip line. That was I think they could have got a little smoother. I thought that was like, oh god, is he gonna be stuck there? Or
you hope that went better in rehearsals, because if it looked like that originally and they still went with it, I don't know what they were thinking.
Wow. Do you think Leo Rush could have pulled that one off if he was still playing Arachno?
I think Leo Rush would have wanted to retire again if they asked him to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Shots fired. But yeah, so my son was downstairs and we saw it, and he saw the green lights coming at the end. And he was like, "Oh, is this going to be the Hulk?" And then it was, and we lost our minds because it was like, "Oh my god, this is awesome." But anyway, yeah, Triple Mania, fun show. Thanks for providing that to the people. By the way, at some cost to yourself. So thanks a lot for your efforts there, Cubs.
It was no problem, and everyone was very, very nice and like throwing some dollars my way. So it worked out in the end.
Although, how bad did the chat get? Because I actually did turn it off at one point because it was getting unbearable.
Yeah, it got pretty bad during the women's match. I mean, against my better judgment, I left it on in the first place, even though I said it was going to turn it off. And that's a lesson I'm definitely learning for December. That thing's just never coming on.
Yeah, don't do it, man. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
But anecdotally, you said you had about 18,000 peak during Andrade versus Kenny Omega, and then like that halved once the Omega match was done.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a lot. I expected a lot of the fans who would tune in through Twitch, who were international, saw Omega as the big match, and then I was just happy that we got like 9,000 people left to see Psycho Clown and Ray Scorpion, because I run those same streams every Saturday just for TV, and that's usually maybe we get 100 people. So
Oh
even by
wow!
those considerations, 9,000 is a really good number.
So you pull out ahead on that one,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Um, do you regularly watch Dark Elevation or Dark, or actually, did you see Rampage for that matter?
I saw a Rampage. I see parts, and I'm like, some weeks I'm paying attention to Dark, and sometimes I don't. It's like, how much time do I have, kind of thing, like how that week's going.
Right. So I'm not going to get too much into Rampage because that is now Paul Sebastian, our normal co-host. That's his territory on Wrestling Brain every Friday night on Twitch, twitch.tv/Wrestling Brain. He and one other do a show about that. By the way, I've been asked to pass along a message to you from Paul to say that Wrestling Brain would like you to come on one of their shows sometime.
Oh, sure. I'll definitely think about it.
Okay, well, I'll try to facilitate that in that case. So, anyway, I don't usually watch Elevation or Dark either. I just it's just habit to ask, and sometimes Paul watches it, sometimes he doesn't. You know how it is.
Yeah, it's for me. It's like if I have time, or if if there's a good TH2 or Lucha Bros match, I will go out of my way to watch it. But it's just like I get enough of AEW with the stuff that's airing on TV that like if I don't watch Dark and Elevation, I don't really feel like I've missed out on too much.
One last thing before we get to the main show. Can you explain how Laredo Kid was able to get onto AEW programming, but they haven't yet pulled Hijo del Vikingo yet?
Laredo Kid apparently has his own visa because he's been going back and forth. Or, I would not be surprised if he has some sort of dual citizenship or something because he lives right on the border. So that's possible. But so he's been going back and forth between the U.S. and Mexico forever. So he's got some hookup. Vikingo does not have that hookup. I know there was a story about a bunch of luchadors getting in the visa process last week, and Vikingo was not on that list. But I followed up and asked around, and I know people are working on the situation to fix it. I don't know the timeline, but I know it's being worked on.
So it's entirely possible we may see Hijo del Vikingo in AEW at some point.
Yeah, that's a hope.
Okay, right on. We'd like that. And with that, we go live to the Fertitta Center, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Houston, Texas, for episode 88 of AEW Dynamite. Your hosts, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur. We start off with what's supposed to be Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, but they are immediately waylaid by Daniel Garcia and 2.0. That was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. It was an interesting way to get Trade into the opening match and also set up Moxley versus Garcia, which I didn't even consider when that happened. But
Right.
they with 2.0, they've given them just enough credibility that means something when Darby and Sting beats them up, and that's kind of how that pre-match attack and the match kind of played out.
Right, and with that, we transition after 2.0 take to the ring and demand to start the Tornado Tag match between Matt Lee and Jeff Parker against Steve Stinger and Darby Allin for your first match of the evening. Tornado Tag match. The first match for Steve Stinger on TNT since 2001. That would be, of course, the final match of WCW.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a while.
Just a tad. Yeah, this started out with some nice insanity going on. They were kind of all over the place in Houston.
Yeah, throwing Darby face first into like the edge of the wall, the bottom of the ceiling, that looked really painful for Darby.
It kind of did. I mean, I'm sure it was planned, but it did kind of look painful. Eddie Kingston recovers to take out Daniel Garcia. But of course, the big mark out moment was towards the end when Steve Stinger no sells their two for the show powerbomb through a table to do both a dual Scorpion Death drop and then a dual Scorpion Death lock for both members of 2.0 to tap out. Your winners, Steve Stinger and Darby Allin. I really just thought that that whole sequence, starting with Mox and Eddie through to the end of this match, just had a really good flow to it.
Yeah, it was really hot TV. I think they had really good action, and I think the crowd went insane when Sting no sold the table and came back up, and
Oh yeah.
that's like something you could do with 2.0, and 2.0 is like more over for losing in this match than they were at any time in WWE. So
Yeah, it's amazing, and we'll talk some more Daniel Garcia too at the same time. But yeah, that's yeah, they're actually they're doing well for themselves. I mean, they haven't won a high profile match yet, but they're doing well for themselves.
yeah, I'm kind of wondering what comes from them from here, because they do seem like AEW has this habit of getting really excited about people and putting them on Dynamite for like 4 straight weeks, and then they disappear into the fold. Like a couple people who will come up later in the show tonight, but I think they've done enough that like next time they get their chance, people are going to be more excited for them.
Yeah, no, I feel that one. Yeah, they do kind of, you know, it does kind of beg the question if whether or not AEW has actually signed too many people, because they can't. I mean, they have to keep coming up with new TV so we can put more people on.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they're running out of days and time slots at this point.
No, these guys might have been lucky to get cut when they did, because there were still spots available. The group after them and whatever future groups are coming might have a little bit harder time to make the roster.
Yeah, assuming that, you know, WWE doesn't do any more Friday Night Massacres anytime soon.
Yeah.
And then we go to a segment where earlier in the evening, Sammy Guevara proposes to his girlfriend Pam. I didn't catch her last name. I know he said it in the segment, which, that's nice. You know,
They put the full clip on Twitter, and I watched part of it during the commercial break, and it came across really well. So
yeah,
it was a nice moment.
This leads to a kind of poor taste promo from Sean Spears and Tully Blanchard.
Yeah, trying too hard to get heat.
Yeah, really. You know what? That sums up Sean Spears in a nutshell. But then when we come back from commercial break, we actually go into our second match of the evening, and it is Sammy Guevara versus Sean Spears. Yeah, actually, this one started out hot too.
Yeah, they had a run of guys getting attacked right when they came in, but it didn't feel like too much, and it got this off to a real good start.
Early on in the match, Aubrey Edwards gets really tired of Tully Blanchard's bullshit and just kicks him out. So we don't have any outside interference for the rest of the match. I do notice that, you know, Sean Spears acting creepy towards Pam. I'm sure this was planned. It still doesn't look good, you know.
It still doesn't look good. I'm sure, because Pam and Sammy have been together. I'm sure she's been through this angle before so at least they're doing it on the big show if they're going to do it. But it's not. I don't think we absolutely had to have it.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Well, yeah, I really don't think we did. I actually thought that the top rope cutter spot was great. With they both leap up under the top rope and they just kind of look at each other for a few minutes. For a few seconds, I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah, the timing on that and the just the balance to pull that off, because you can make yourself look really stupid trying to do that spot, and they pulled it off perfectly.
Yeah, they did. This actually was a very surprisingly very good match, given who is in the ring.
Would you say it's like Spears' best match in AEW? Because I could not think of a better one he's had.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
By far, yeah. I mean, I could not think of an even remotely passable Sean Spears match. Like, even the match against Cody Rhodes was some dog shit. So, yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, this was definitely his best match in AEW. The finish comes when Sammy tries a 630 senton. That doesn't work. So then he goes for, bare knee strikes leading into a GTH for the pin. At some point, Sammy starts bleeding. Jim Ross couldn't tell who was bleeding.
I thought it might have been Spears bleeding from the head, but I also could not be sure where it came from or who was doing it.
Well, I mean, Sammy was covered by the end. I mean, he had it all over him.
And I feel like Darby was bleeding in the match before, and I wasn't sure how that happened either.
Well, I'm sure maybe going face first into
Yeah,
that
that
wall
helped.
might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that in mind, we go backstage to Tony Schiavone with the new Impact World Champion, Christian Cage, interrupted by Don Callis, and I could barely hear what Don Callis was saying.
No, I think it was just general, bad ill will and taunting between both of them. I don't think we really accomplished much in that, except to remind you that match happened.
Yeah, well, and also, so that Christian Cage can once again call Don Callis a carny piece of shit.
Yeah.
Without any of the Pittsburghese involved, like last week. Which, by the way, I confirmed with my uncle that was my uncle who still lives in Pittsburgh. That yes, that is 100% accurate to say Carney Jagoff instead in Pittsburgh. We then get a commercial break with another commercial for Rose to the Top. I am not planning to watch this. I'm guessing you are not either.
I'm sure they're going to air it after Dynamite the first time, and I might leave the TV on and have it on while not paying attention at all. But I will not probably go out my way to see it.
I mean, right after Dynamite is usually when we record this show, so yeah, I probably won't be watching it either. So
yeah.
We then when we come back from commercial, we'll get a recap of Dante Martin's performance from last week and a little vignette with Dante Martin promising he's going to reach the top. And you know what? I fancy his chances, honestly.
No, I was watching it back and I was like, who had the better match with Omega last week? Was it Andrade or was it Dante? And it might have been Dante.
You know what? I think you're right. We then get Tony Schiavone in the ring with Dan Lambert and members of American Top Team, including Julio Dos Santos and Andrei Orlovsky. And this is where I fail because I am not a big UFC guy. I mean, ever since the early days of UFC, when the Gracies were still around, I couldn't tell you who any of these folk were.
I know that they are heavyweight people of some importance, but UFC is not in my wheelhouse at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my time with MMA really kind of ended when UFC absorbed Pride and killed Pride. God, I love Pride. Anyway, at some point, Dan Lambert just kind of rambles on, and he was having a normal one tonight. Lance Archer makes an appearance, and he is attacked from behind by the Men of the Year, which I still think is a great tag team name.
Yeah, I love the name's good. The video that's like a magazine feature is also good.
Oh yeah, yeah. We have praised that on this show before.
And I'm sure Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page going up for moves is also going to be good because I think that's probably in the near future.
Oh yeah, quite probably. So yeah. So Lance Archer gets beaten down in Texas. Well, you hate to see it. We then get another backstage promo with Chris Jericho this time, and again we have some audio issues because I could barely make out what he was saying. There was some sort of echo or something interfering with the audio. In these backstage segments,
or they didn't have the in arena mics turned off, so you could kind of get that sound over the top of it because that happened later on too. But it was just very weird.
Yeah, there are definitely some audio issues in those in the little segment. Although Jim Ross said something about those blue eyes are smiling. It's like Jim, those eyes are not blue. They are as red as the day is long, my friend. I'm so sorry to say this. Boy, this leads into our third match of the evening for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Executive Vice Presidents Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, against Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. Oh, this was a fun one.
Yeah, this was pretty great. I'm not a guy who's that high on Luchasaurus normally. I think if you put him in the right spots, he can look really impressive. And they did a really good job of putting him in the right spots in a lot of places here. And the other three guys were as great as you would expect.
Yeah. What do you think about the Young Bucks and their super douchey personas that they're going with lately?
I think it's the only way this crowd is going to be willing to boo them because because so many of these people showed up for wrestling to watch these guys. But I think their over the top persona is kind of working for the role they're in.
I mean, I don't know. They remember they were getting booed out of the Wintrust Arena at Revolution 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not a completely alien concept, but I'm also of the opinion that the Young Bucks never should have been baby faces to begin with either.
No, I think the formation of the promotion forced them to be baby faces, but they're obviously having a lot of fun in this role.
Yeah, they're just cranking it way the fuck up. Of course, Kenny Omega does get involved at some point, but we get another botched chair interference spot this time.
Yeah, that seems like a recurring spot in these big matches lately.
Yeah, it does. Although we did get the obvious result, which was the Young Bucks do retain against Jurassic Express, and we get the requisite entire elite beatdown of not only Jurassic Express but Christian Cage as well, where he does take a one-winged angel. Did you notice Kenny Omega's shirt?
Yes, it was Chick Magnet.
Yes, they're not being subtle, are they?
Kind of and kind of not, because I feel like I know I was in the camp expecting him to all but say CM Punk is going to be on Friday's show, and there's still if you know it's happening, there are hints everywhere. But I don't think if you're a person who just watches Dynamite and does not pay attention to the show at all other way, I'm not sure if you completely know that's happening at this point.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I got a ticket. And then I see that's much cheaper if I had waited, but I definitely got a ticket.
I originally I opted out because I had I had just bought all the tickets for Hoffman Estates.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I do not need another wrestling ticket right now. So, it seems like it's going to be a fun time. I know one of my coworkers is going to be there. Shout out to Dion Wells from SOS Wrestling Network, one of my old good buddies. He's actually driving up to see that. But yeah, I'm going to be watching. I probably, I don't think I may not even watch until Saturday morning in between some football matches, honestly. So, yeah. But of course, stay tuned for. Co-host Paul Sebastian as he joins Wrestling Brain on twitch.tv/Wrestling Brain to recap AEW Rampage after that show. That being said, next week, listeners, for your delectation, I will give you my decision on whether or not I'm actually going to the Hoffman Estates shows because shit's not great here in Chicago, as you can attest to, Cubs.
Yeah, we got the mask mandate back, which, for me, going to any of these places, I have a mental first-person mask mandate. I'm not, going to sit with 15,000 wrestling fans and not have a mask on. But it's not good that we're at the point where it's, legally required again.
Right. Now, Aurora, where you're at, that's not Cook County, right?
No, I am in Kane County at the moment.
Right, I figured as much. I'm in Cook County. Cook County usually follows the city. So I'm guessing all the AEW and the GCW shows in Hoffman Estates will be, have to be forced to be masked as well, I would assume.
Yeah, I know Black Label Pro said something that the building requires masks. So I'm assuming that all the buildings will end up doing the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only two buildings. There's, the skate park. Okay, it's actually the Grand Sports Arena. I call it the skate park because it used to be, because when I was growing up, it was a skate park. But now it's like an indoor soccer arena now. But I'm sure that the now arena, the former Sears Center is going to require masks at this point as well.
Yeah. If I were AEW, I would probably consider making that a requirement for all my shows just to make everyone feel safer.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if they're going to maybe start also asking for the vaccination cards too.
Yeah.
Which I carry mine, so.
I have mine in my car, but I'm I'm petrified for taking it out and losing it and then never being able to get into a building again.
Right.
But
that's why you take a pic of it.
Yeah, I figured that out this past weekend. Yeah. I just need to put a picture on my phone, and it'll be a little bit.
Well, also, you could photocopy it, and then some places, if you can laminate it, keep that in your wallet, as a backup.
Yeah, that's an option I hadn't thought about.
This has been vaccine etiquette with the Cubs fan here on Boom Goes the Dynamite. We then go backstage with Tony Schiavone and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, along with Rebel and Jamie Hayter, who reappeared on Rampage. Segment okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't impressed by Jamie Hayter's promo skills, to be honest.
No, it served the purpose of setting up the match, and I'm sure she's going to win when she next week's when she faces Red Velvet. But it was not like it was not a blow-away thing. It just like it did its job.
It did do its job. I mean, Britt obviously carried the promo, but yeah. So we then after the commercial break, we come back and we get a Matt Hardy versus Orange Cassidy promo thing. And then we go back into the ring with Tony Schiavone and Paul White, where Paul White is very excited to be there, it seems. And then we get QT Marshall to put me to sleep because this promo was boring.
I don't mind QT as a bottom tier heel group leader, but this is an odd use of Dynamite time and then an odd use of pay-per-view time with what it set up.
Yeah, which it did set up QT Marshall versus Paul White at All Out in Hoffman Estates. Friend of the show, Tom Batista of the Military Industrial Suplex here on the PWM Podcast Network, sent me something in the Twitter DMs saying that imagine if this promo had been Team Taz to set up Will Hobbs versus Paul White.
That would have been bigger. I think maybe you do that later on, but because there's no way QT should be winning this match. QT, my dream for this match, since I'm going to be in attendance, is for QT to get choke slammed in a minute and we all move on with our lives. But
that would be the best case scenario.
And then come back in 6 months and then you do the Hobbs match. Because Hobbs has not been, because of personal stuff, he has not been on TV that much. So maybe it's not time for him.
I wasn't aware of that, so.
Yeah, I think he had someone in his family pass away, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
So it was good to see him back this night. But I think that's a good idea to eventually set it up. You give Paul White one win, but his eventual goal is, like you said, he should be putting over a guy like Hobbs to help him on the way up.
You know, you just reminded me of something I was remiss in saying at the top of the show. So, we're here at the halfway point of the show. I may as well say it now. R.I.P. Jamel Hepburn of the Real Hero team. Of course, you're familiar with him too.
Yeah, we talked only a few times, I think, but I was very familiar with his work. I was thinking about when people were utilizing him this week, is that we did a lot of the same stuff, but in different spheres. And I appreciate, I can understand how much work he had to be doing, because he was doing more work than I do at getting all those shows and getting them up for people really fast. It shows immense amount of caring about that and trying to share that with the public.
Yeah, he really cared about pro wrestling especially. It really cared about it. Really cared about getting it out there, and the fact that he was the announcement of his death came from Chris Hero, of all people, just kind of shows you what kind of man he was. But yeah, I had some interaction with him. Former co-host of this and Strong Style Story, Lawrence O'Brien, of course, did a show with him as well. It was just we were connected, in the broader pro wrestling fandom type thing, and of course, the Real Hero Google Drive was legendary when it was around. But yeah, he died. I don't know how young he was. I don't know what he died of. I do know it was far, far too young, and it shouldn't have happened. Is all I'm gonna say. So rest in peace, Jamel, and my condolences to his friends, family, and loved ones. So,
yeah, mine as well.
So, back to the show, we get a tape promo with Jade Cargill and Smart Mark Sterling, as it looks like Kiera Hogan has made her way to AEW.
Yeah, I think she was on Dark last week and maybe this week. So I believe she was killed off on Impact, as they do. So it's interesting to see if she's going to be a regular here, because they always can use more depth in the women's division, and she has I think I have not seen her much, but I think her reputation is pretty good. So this is a good chance for her.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And of course, we love us some Jade Cargill around here. So
Yeah.
hopefully get another squash on Rampage on Friday night. We come back from commercial. We go backstage, and it's Tony Schiavone and the elite, the entire damn elite, in which Tony Schiavone relays a message from Tony Khan that Tony Khan's headed up to here, and he is announcing a tag team eliminator tournament featuring the Varsity Blondes, the Lucha Bros, Jurassic Express, and Private Party. The winners will get the Young Bucks and a challenge for the World Tag Team titles in a steel cage at All Out.
Yeah, that's going to be whoever it's going to be. It's a pretty good match. It was like they set it up by having so much interference in the tag team title match, and like with AEW, it may mean that the cage actually keeps out the interference. With most other U.S. promotions, I would assume it just does not. But I mean, it makes sense if they go through with it.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. And of course, go Lucha Bros, because hey, that's what we're all about on this program.
They had back at, was it All In 2019, had like the ladder match with the Young Bucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the same building. It's like one of the best matches in the history of the promotion. So if they go back and do the again, I'm sure it'll be pretty great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. And the fact is, the Lucha Bros still have those AAA tag team titles, too.
Yeah, that's when they won them, and they have not lost them since.
Yeah, so, hey. But, of course, they've only had, 3 defenses since then, right?
Tails.
Well, I mean... one thing that gets lost on non-Lucha fans is how little the titles actually get defended.
Yeah, it's not like we're defending it. It's not like we have monthly pay-per-views. They just kind of get around to it every so often.
Yeah, just kind of whenever. We then get a segment with Taz and Hook and Ricky Starks that gets interrupted by Brian Cage beating up Will Hobbs backstage. Be careful, Hobbs. That is Thanos in a certain wrestling universe.
He could have just been snapped out of existence.
He could have been. He's got the whole damn Infinity Gauntlet in his bag, don't you know?
Yeah.
Jeez. We then go backstage for El Triángulo de la Muerte, and oh my God, the mask and shirt combo. I mean, Rey Fénix had it too, but Penta, my God, that Penta, mask and that shirt.
Penta must have quite a wardrobe. We need a Penta Cribs episode just to see all the different outfits he has in there.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe it. And of course, and then here's Pac looking like he's getting ready to wrestle no matter, at a moment's notice, he's ready. Never wears anything but his gear. It's kind of funny. Andrade El Idolo and Chavito show up with his terms and conditions for Andrade to face Pac at All Out, and it's pretty thick. It's about as thick as Watchmen, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We never found out what was actually in those conditions, did we?
No, we never did. Speaking of comics in terms of conditions, there is a God, I forgot his name. I have to look him up real quick. Hang on. But there is a comic book out there of the terms of the app of the iTunes terms and conditions.
That must be like what, like 12 issues or something?
No, it was two. It was two. It was two mini comics, and what he did was he actually. It's Robert Sikoriak. I'm sorry. He's an artist who usually pastiches other art. So what he ends up doing is he like drew like a page in the style of like a famous comic book. So like I recognize his pages from Watchmen, From Hell, Saga. An old Spider-Man, and all that. All he does is, rattle off the terms and conditions, and he had like a character in every page that looks like Steve Jobs. And you can buy this now. You can buy it on Amazon. It's called Terms and Conditions by Robert Sikoriak. It's a really good read. So I recommend it. Our fourth match of the evening, Penelope Ford versus the now All Elite Thunder Rosa. And this match was pretty fucking good too.
Yeah, I liked it. Thunder Rosa always shows like a lot of aggression on TV, and I think that worked really good with Penelope Ford.
She knows how to work a TV match, it turns out.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's like improved so much, and I think she's like one of the better women they have right now.
yeah, I'm actually surprised that they stayed with the whole match in picture because usually it's the women's match that usually gets cut to commercial.
Right. It seemed like they had a lot of those early in the show, or at least I was getting a lot of local ads, but this one they stayed with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I did see the anime Taco Bell ad a couple of times.
Yeah.
Probably not coincidentally, right when Amazon Prime is pushing the new Neon Genesis Evangelion movie at me. So,
Mhm.
Anyway, Thunder Rosa does get the win with actually it looked like a pretty painful submission hold.
Yeah.
So no, that was really good. I really liked it. We then go backstage, and Tony Schiavone is with Arn and Brock Anderson. And could you tell them apart?
Yes, I could. One looks slightly thinner than the other one. That's the key.
And we're not talking about their hairlines either.
No.
Anyway, the upshot of this is on next week on Dynamite, we're going to get Brock Arnson against Malachi Black. And I'm sure that won't end with somebody's head getting kicked off.
No, that's probably not going to end well for Brock Anderson.
Probably not. Which I think was the point of the promo.
Yeah.
It's not going to end. We then get a promo from Miro where he calls out Eddie Kingston. Oh, baby.
Yeah. As unexcited as I was for QT versus The Big Show, I am like the complete opposite for Miro versus Eddie Kingston as a pay-per-view match. That'll just be just a great fight if that happens.
That will be an actual fight. I mean,
yeah.
That may be a shoot, brother. Because, oh my God, that will. Whoo-wee. You think Eddie's gonna beg for Miro to just lay it into him?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely get that in the match. I'm also looking forward to, like, anytime Eddie has to do a big promo for a pay-per-view match, he always delivers. So just the idea that he's going to be in another one, that's something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to. I mean, you think that's going to happen at All Out?
I hope so. Like, I can't figure out who else Miro would face at this point, and there's not much time left, so I'm hoping so.
I mean, they've been burning a lot of matches you think would have happened at All Out. Like, well, the main event that we're about to discuss, you would have thought that they would have had that at All Out.
Yes.
But, yeah, they didn't. And they're burning another match next week, too, with Orange Cassidy versus Matt Hardy.
Yeah, that's one I don't mind not seeing on pay-per-view, but that's another one that could have, but with what they use Orange for, it's probably, maybe we'll get some sort of big Hardy family office versus best friends and friends match instead at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, yeah, that's always possible. We then go backstage, and Jon Moxley is angry, and if the constant snorking he was doing, it was anything, he's on the coke tonight, brothers, because holy cow.
He was fired up for sure.
He was fired. Whoo! He may have been fired up into the stratosphere on that one. But decent promo. We are getting Mox versus Daniel Garcia on Friday night, which means Daniel Garcia is going to be on 2 wrestling shows at the same time on Friday night because he's also supposed to be on NJPW Strong. But, of course, that show's pre-taped, so...
Yeah, it's a busy night for him. I think Moxley seemed very fired up for that match, and I think it's obviously a huge opportunity for Daniel. I mean, if he was appearing on New Japan Strong, that would be a big night for him. But facing Moxley on what's supposed to be a really big show is probably that's probably like the biggest night of his career so far.
Yeah, so that's yeah. Daniel Garcia again. He's turning some heads here. He is definitely turning some heads. Our main event of the evening, Chris Jericho versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman in the 5th labor of Jericho, in which Chris Jericho cannot use the Judas effect, and we do not hear Judas, the song. Of course, we knew that the crowd was going to, pick up the pieces there.
Yeah, and I think AEW has to be thrilled with how that came across because, like, even if we find out tomorrow that they somehow artificially push people along, it still came across as an organic thing, and they got the exact sound and look that they wanted for that match.
I mean, I think that the second that they announced that, I think we knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah, the fans have been so into it, but you never know until it happens, and it worked out for them.
Did you catch the reference Jim Ross made during the match when they were just punching each other to Philo Beto?
I did not understand that reference.
That was for the Clint Eastwood classic Any Which Way But Loose, where Philo Beto was a truck driving bare knuckle boxer with an orangutan.
No, I can be sure I've not seen Clint Eastwood movie with an orangutan, I have to say.
Yeah, well, believe me, there was a sequel to this movie too, called Any Which Way You Can.
So I can see, if I'm Googling correctly, that's a 1978 movie, which is just right in Jim Ross's wheelhouse.
You would be absolutely correct on that, sir.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
One of the things I enjoyed the most about this is that there was cheating and there was counter-cheating going on in this.
Yeah, the fact that he could not use the Juice effect and find like 5 other different ways that he could cheat for Jericho to cheat could win, and of course MJF is going to take shortcuts. Is that like Jericho suddenly became a smiling, high-fiving the fans babyface once the Inner Circle stopped being heels? He's still the same sort of character. He's just like the less evil of the two people in this feud.
Right. What have you thought about these labors of Jericho?
Some of them have worked. Some of them have not worked as well. Like, the Gage match was really good.
Oh my God, that was a possible match of the year candidate for reasons you wouldn't expect, but yes.
Yeah, I did not like the Juventud matches as much as it seemed like everyone else did, and 5 straight weeks of Jericho is going to maybe tire people out in the concept, but they were everything was over tonight. But I think the people were really excited for this Jericho MGF match, and it really made it feel like a pay-per-view main event kind of match that we're getting on free TV.
So, are you surprised that they did this here rather than kept this for All Out?
I am, but with the finish, I guess that leaves an option for them coming back for a pay-per-view. I wouldn't mind Jericho skipping a pay-per-view. But I know he has concerts in the area so he's going to be around, and I assume there's some way they're going to back into the match after that. But yeah, this felt like they should have saved this for the pay-per-view if they're going to have a match on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, so of course MJF does get the win. Jericho taps out to the Salt of the Earth.
Completely cleanly too. There's they cheated, like we said, but in the end, MJF won without cheating.
So, I mean, where do we go from here on this? Because, that is 3 times that they've faced each other, and Jericho has not won any of them.
No,
where else can you go with this?
At some point, maybe down the line you say that, oh, my elbow's not hurt anymore, I can come back and I have a better chance. Or I get to use the Juice effect, so maybe I'll have a better chance. But it does feel like it's just feud over for now, and if they do come back for the pay-per-view, it's going to be really tough to pull off and get people to care as much.
Yeah, I mean, part of this has also been derailed, of course, because of the horrific injury to Cash Wheeler. So, the Santana and Ortiz versus FTR feud, it kind of got derailed there. So, I mean, are we going to move on? And the Pinnacle wins the feud for now, I guess, maybe? Who knows?
Yeah, because the Sammy Spears thing, that felt like the complete end to that story. Sammy even said it's over before hitting his finishing move. So that part's done. I guess Hager Wardlow is still around, but if they forgot about tomorrow, no one would care.
Well, yeah, because that match was hot garbage.
Yeah. And there's no chance another match is going to be any better. I think they're probably coming back to do a tag team match because those guys take so much pride in what they do that they're just not going to be happy with having a match that went wrong like that. So maybe we get that at the pay-per-view instead of the MJF Jericho match, but the rest of it feels like it's kind of...
Well, we're not going to get... Well, I mean, Cash Wheeler's out for a while. I mean, his bone broke through his skin. He's going to be out for a while.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think. I mean, who could they put with Dax Harwood to maybe go for Spears?
Or maybe that's where you put MJF. That'd be weird, but it's something you could do. I don't know. It
Yeah.
might be weird after being such a big presence on the last pay-per-view and a lot of the TVs before and after. They just might not be on this pay-per-view at all.
Well, didn't you say something to the effect of AAA TV mattered not a whit to to Triple Mania in the end?
Yes, yes. So maybe just something will come out from left field. Like the other thing is that like before we talked, I was looking at the All Out or all. Yeah, I always forget if it's All Out or All In.
It's All Out, you know.
Yeah,
it's
All Out.
But my theory on that is because All In was actually a non-branded Ring of Honor show, and
yeah. But I was looking at the All Out Wikipedia page for the lineup on the show, and I forgot. Like at some point, they said they had a casino battle royal for the women on the show, and that has not been set up at all. So maybe we still have lost.
They typically don't actually set that up until like the week or so before.
Yeah. So, but it's like the cards coming together a little late, and maybe it's because they have a lot of stuff. They have the big thing coming on Friday. That's where their attention is. But it feels like we're close to a pay-per-view and kind of have an idea what the matches are, but we really don't.
Yeah. I mean, we know that it's going to be Omega versus Christian Cage for the AEW title. Whoever wins this Eliminator tournament in a steel cage with the Young Bucks, possibly Miro versus Eddie Kingston. There's a lot of maybes. They haven't really set too many things in concrete for All Out yet, have they?
No, Pac Andrade is the other one, but it's not.
Oh, right.
It's still we're kind of on the waiting hold for about like maybe half the card, so they'll be busy next couple shows, I guess.
Well, next week we'll find out if I will actually be at that show. So, we'll stay tuned and find out for the thrilling conclusion to that saga. And with that, we close out episode 88 of W Dynamite as we head into the first dance at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. I will not be there. Cubs, you will be there. Yeah. If CM Punk actually is not there, do you think that the United Center is going to be absolutely furious?
Oh yeah, that's like it's a defining night for the promotion because either CM Punk shows up and it's like a viral moment, or the promotion jumps the shark by not delivering CM Punk. So it's either way, it's going to be a big deal.
I mean, is there any possible way they could do something that's makes it even bigger than CM Punk?
I don't know what that would be. I've seen people suggest that maybe you send Danielson out there.
Yeah.
And I think people like that's the only thing you can do where people wouldn't just get livid about it. But even then, I think because it's Chicago, I think it has to be CM Punk. Otherwise, it's just going to be crazy.
I mean, again, they've only been dropping so many hints about it. And even I guess CM Punk was at like some MMA promotion, and they were making jokes about it too.
Yeah, and he's teasing it on Twitter with secret numbers and all this stuff. So, like, if this does not happen, it's going to make everyone reevaluate their relationship to AEW. So, like, they need him to be there at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a PR disaster if they swerve this somehow. So,
yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy the show. In the meantime, go ahead and plug thyself.
You can find me on luchablog.com. I write about Lucha Libre, everything that's going on in Lucha Libre at least 3 times a week. I'm at luchablog on Twitter and other places too that you can find that I mentioned from Twitter.
What's up with the Cubs this year, man?
Like once they made those trades, the trades made sense. But then I also decided that if they weren't going to try for the rest of the season, I don't have to try to watch them. So I think I've watched maybe 3 innings in the last 2 weeks. And maybe I'll go back to it at some point, but it's not good.
Yeah, contrast that with how the White Sox are doing. They have, one of the best records in baseball, and they won that, even won that Field of Dreams match. I actually watched that game. I'm not a baseball guy. Between that and Shohei Ohtani, baseball's a little interesting right now.
Yeah, it's a good season. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. It's just like the experience with like the wind down of a run of a team that probably should have done a lot more, and they should have kind of soured me in the moment. But maybe like late September and October, I'll get back on it again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, there's no way that the Cubs are making the playoffs at this point, are there? Is there?
No, no, we're just at this point they're hoping to make the top 5 in the draft picks, and they're on their way.
Are they tanking? You be honest. Are they tanking, Cubs?
Yes, they are. They're absolutely playing guys who like are at the bottom of the roster just to see how far they can go.
Wow. Of course, you can find me at Strong Style Story without the E in style on Twitter, or my personal Twitter at GD Wetzel, 2 S's, 1 L. It's funny, we have a Lucha Libre expert and the New Japan guy, and we're talking AEW.
Yeah, that's just how forbidden the forbidden door is. You're just getting people from all over the place.
That's right. Anyway, there may be a Busting Balls coming up this weekend. We're gonna see how my schedule shakes out. I may push it till next weekend though, because it's we're still getting into the new season. I don't want to be in too bad of a mood because Arsenal stink and they're gonna get pumped by Chelsea this weekend. So you know how that goes. So Cubs. Any last word? Oh, of course, follow the podcast at BGTD Podcast, since Paul usually is the one who does that plug. I almost forgot. And, of course, follow Paul at Cool Step Uncle and, catch him on twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain on Friday night after Rampage. So, Cubs, any last words?
No, thanks for having me on again.
Hey, no problem. We'll see you next week.